Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump, and today I'm doing my top 5 favorite games of 2024. Now, I would say that with the games that were released, I think have been a lot of really fun games that I've played throughout this year that have been released throughout the last year or so when this video is released. And this video, we talk about the games that I've played and I've enjoyed really well, and some of the things that I've enjoyed within the games that I've enjoyed. And so yeah, for number 5 is HiFi Rush, the PS5 version. Now I know that HiFi Rush came out on the Xbox, I think a year before, a year and a half before Hi-Fi Rush was released for the PS5, but I still think it's somewhat of a 2024 kind of game. If that's kind of if you know what I'm talking about, because with some of the other ones, or the games I'm talking about, one of them being Persona 3 Reload, even though because with that game, that is a there's like a 2024 game. There's a remake of like an early 2000s, or somewhere within like the early 2000s ish game, early to mid 2000s ish game. And yeah, I feel like that's with Hi-Fi Rush in a similar sense, even though it's not a remake like Persona 3 Reload, in that it's a 2024 game, but it got another version on another console in a different year. So yeah, so with Hi-Fi Rush, I really enjoyed the whole um like the battle mechanics. I think that's a really cool um fighting style. I don't normally, when it comes to like the fight, that particular fighting style with the whole like combo stuff, because I have played like Bayonetta and other games or similar games that do have the whole combo stuff. But with Hi-Fi Rush, every single thing that happens in the game is done on the beat, and that's a sort of game that I've never really played before, or with that sort of battle mechanic. And the game as a whole is really fun, and I think I said in my Hi-Fi Rush review, it kind of feels like a Saturday morning cartoon, or like there was like in the early 2000s roughly, if Hi-Fi Rush was a Saturday morning cartoon. And yeah, I think with the game I do enjoy all of the battles stuff, and I think the jokes land really well. And I do like how once you've beaten the game, you can play through any of the other levels, but with different costumes for different characters. And I think one of them for Chai, who's the main character, he can wear. I think in for one of the boss fights, he can be a shark or be in a shark costume, and you can wear that costume in previous levels. I think that's really cool and it's really fun. And yeah, I think it's just one of those fun, silly games that's really cool to play through. And I really think that people should give it a try. So yeah, for number 4 is Persona 3 Reload. Now with Reload, I do enjoy how it expands, or not really expands, but how it makes Persona 3, or the Persona 3 games, so Persona 3, the original portable and fees, and make those games better by having like a lot of the combat based on Persona 5. And yeah, I think it really works. I do like how in the game that it does, like with the other Persona games, it does use the whole battle format. You can collect different personas, you can fuse them, you can collect new ones, give specific skill cards, that sort of thing. But it's got like the baton pass with from Persona 5, but it's called a different mechanic, I believe. And you've also got the Theurgy attack, which is I think a really cool addition. And I do hope that we do get more Theurgy based attacks in future games, maybe, because the Theurgy attacks in Reload are basically these giant super duper uh, monster attacking attacks. I would say, and each user has like two, but apart from the main character who has a huge amount of different Theurgy attacks. And yeah, and I do like how the whole game is made better, I would say, because I think especially when it comes to Tartarus, because with Tartarus, it feels a whole lot more better than when I played in Portable, because in Portable you can only just collect a specific amount of things, that sort of stuff, but in Reload you can collect a variety amount of chests, items, uh, the Twilight fragments, stuff you can sell, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'd say overall Reload is really fun, and also it also remakes The Answer into episode Ikis, and that's also a really cool thing to add. So yeah, for number three is Echoes of Wisdom. Now with this game, I think it's one of the more adorable games that I've played in this year, because it's basically a new like 2D Zelda game, in the style of Link's Awakening, and all the Link's Awakening remake that we got back in 2019. And I think with this game, I think it's really cool of how this is the very first Zelda game, or the very first mainline Zelda game, where we get to play as Zelda. And I think with this, it's very different when it comes to the combat, but it's very similar in terms of the story, where you have to save the kingdom from a main evil, and you have to fix all of the different troubles that's happening in the different regions. And yeah, and I think what makes this game stand out, when compared to the other Zelda games, is the combat. And you can sort of use the sword and shield, but that's only limited for a certain amount of time. With the combat, where it's mainly focused with, is the different echoes you can use. So you can use spiders, goblins, Lionels, that sort of stuff. And I would say overall the game is really cool, and I do hope we get to see more games like Echoes of Wisdom, where we don't just have Link as the main character, and we could have other characters be the main character of a particular Zelda game. So yeah, for number two is Metaphor. Now, Metaphor, what I like about this game is that it's basically fantasy Persona, where if you take all the Persona games, mash them together, sort of, and basically put them into a fantasy world, kind of. And this feels different but the same when it comes to as like when it comes to like if you're comparing this to Persona, because with Metaphor, I do like how you've got like you can have different characters be different things. So like you can have a character be a warrior, you can have one being a mage, another one being a gunner, that sort of thing, or a brawler, or whichever you want for that particular character to be. And I think there are a lot of things that this game does that's slightly better than Persona, because I do like how I can switch out any of my characters to be any of the different character classes, and I do like the different designs for each of them. And yeah, and it gives this sort of like new way of battling, because not only can you fight on the front lines with your party, but you can also move them back to the to the back, so that damage from the enemy can be dealt less. And yeah, and I think it's really cool just interacting with characters in a fantasy setting that's based on the sort of Persona formula in a sort of sense. So yeah, and for number one is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now with this game, one of the elements that I like about it is that it expands the overworld. So this means you can do more stuff to do, like the side quests. They're back, and you can also do some other stuff like finding new areas to explore, fighting new monsters, and looking through the different areas, or finding new secrets and stuff. And yeah, and I do like how open this world is, because when you compare it to remake, a lot of the smaller areas that you got to relax in a bit before another big mission was fine, but I think it just felt limited in some parts, because you only got a certain amount of quests, like 5 to 6 quests in each area that you got to do some relaxing in. But with Rebirth, you get like in some areas you get like 7, another one you get 6, you get 5 in another, you get 3 in some of the other areas. But yeah, I think with Rebirth, as I said before, with the quest, it helps to create more of a world, and I do like how it expands on how you do those quests because with each of the quests, they might ask you to find a particular item in another area of the map, and you have to go all the way over to the map or the other side to get it. And that can be annoying, but at around chapter 11, at the end of chapter 11, starting chapter 12, you are able to do fast travel instantly without having to go to a specific part of the map to go to another area. So that is a good thing, I would say, for when it comes to Rebirth, when it comes to the whole fast traveling stuff. And yeah, I just like the another thing I like is the character interactions that there are in the game. And yeah, and again, it's continuing from remake, so we get to see more of the characters and see more of what's happened since the events of remake. Because with remake, we did get to see into what the characters were thinking, that sort of thing in remake, but it was quite limited because it was like I would say a 12 or so, roughly 12-hour game if you try and did everything, or I would say it's 12 hours, or I'm not. I think it's probably more than 12 hours. I don't 100% remember, but that game was quite long because of all of the stuff that you could do in the game. But with Rebirth, there's so much more stuff you can do. It's like I would say it adds 30 or more hours or so of content to do in that game, and I do like how it has new stuff. So like you can get new summons, and you can fight in the whole battle simulator thing, and which you can try and make them weaker if you go to specific locations on the map. You can also uh, choose new outfits, sort of, in the game. And what I mean by sort of is that in the early part of the game, I would say chapter 3 or 4 ish, roughly around there, you go to this resort area and you can choose different outfits for some of the different characters, and that's quite cool. And yeah, I think it's just one of those games that's really fun, and I do enjoy playing through, and I can't wait for the next game, for the final part of the trilogy. So yeah, that's been my top 5 favorite games of 2024. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.